Research essay. First judge's preference. Ryan Dalton of Marion. By the way, if there's not a check in your award package, you haven't given me the Social Security number. Once you do that, you can have some dough. Third place in research essay. Macy McGurdy of Marion. Okay. Second place is Libby Landez of Marion. And I know this person is here. First place in research essay is Ali Karchi from Logan. Are you interested in reading part of your essay or your essay, Alex? Please.
My name is Lisa Warmful, and I'm a member of the English faculty here. It's my honor to read part of Alex's essay. It's titled "The Last Charge, World War I and the End of the Workhorse," which essentially encapsulates the thesis concept as well. I've chosen a paragraph from the middle. I hope that's okay. The final reason for warhorses dropping out of use is that cavalry became obsolete in warfare. To start upon this point, the mode of warfare made warhorses completely ineffective. Trench warfare, with the rushes over the top into marching gunfire, was effective and deadly against horses. Barbed wire tangled and trapped horses, making it painful for them to move and making them easier to target. Machine guns didn't have to be accurate because horses were a large target in the first place. Artillery shelled horses to bits before they could deliver seriously the necessary supplies to the men in the trenches, cited from Forgotten Army. Quote, "This meant they would be caught up in mustard gas attacks, get stuck on barbed wire in the front of the trenches and be left injured in no man's land," end quote by Perry. Also was the fact that technology had outpaced the horse. As mentioned before, machine guns ripped horses apart. If we remember back to the scenario from my introduction, also known as the Battle of Mons, we can see how technology was so effective. Quote, "The 12 Brandenburg Grenadiers attacking the 1st Battalion of the Royal West King Regiment lost 25 officers and over 500 men," end quote. This was not even the work of machine guns, but a common British tactic. Quote, "In fact, they were infantrymen firing their Lee Enfield rifles, but at such a combined speed, they gave the Germans that impression," end quote by Truman. Also, the vulnerability of horses and mules in the logistics teams was tragically apparent. In the Battle of Passchendaele, mules and horses pulling artillery across the thick muck of Flanders would often sink, holding up entire pieces of artillery, and the artillery behind that one. Horses were, as mentioned before, also completely decimated if hit by shrapnel sprayed by shells, which a tank or armored car might take. Even here, technology was outpacing the horse, and it wasn't the enemy's guns. Quote, "As time went by, they were replaced. The largest guns of war had become even bigger and needed tractors, motor vehicles, and even locomotives to pull them," cited by Forgotten Army. Even light artillery, formerly pulled by the light draw horse, was motorized with the forthcoming of the tank. Of course, thankfully, this war could not last forever.
Somehow, my early judge's pick I must have hit a button and skipped over it. And I apologize for that. But Jalen Baker has a judge's pick as well. Is she here? Jalen Baker. All right, the next category is personal essays. First judge's preference is Dustin Dukes for Marion. Next judge's preference is Matthew Sung from Third place in personal essay, Stephen Blair from Carbondale. Okay, second place in personal essay is Allison Fox from Marion. And first place, Congratulations. Would you like to read your essay? Well, just in case I have to stand in, Michelle Howerton will kindly volunteer to read.
Hi, my name is Michelle Howerton Marcus, and it's my pleasure to read First Place Winner. It's a very moving piece. I'm going to read just a little bit of it. It's titled The Storm. Did you know a kid named Nick Martin? It was my best friend. Curious, I thought to myself. Yeah, I responded. Does she need me to contact him? Did you hear? Hear what? My pulse quickened the slightest bit. Is he okay? He committed suicide last night. A jolt tore through my body. No, denial. She's mistaken. It must be some other Nick Martin. Of course, I almost nodded to myself. Of course, it wasn't my Nick Martin. Nick and Martin were both common names. My Nick Martin had shaggy, dirty blonde hair. My Nick Martin had another fun fact that people got tired of hearing, or another sarcastic comment that never failed to elicit a few giggles. His blue eyes would twinkle mischievously as he grinned. And one thing was for sure, my Nick Martin would never commit suicide. But there was that minuscule but ever poignant shadow of a doubt that continued to tug uncomfortably at my gut. I went to the place that everyone goes for answers, Facebook. I scrolled frantically through my newsfeed of statuses of meaningful song lyrics and narcissistic pictures, searching for any validation or rejection of the possibility. R.I.P. Nick Martin, my tennis teammate's status. You will never be forgotten. I paused. One status doesn't solidify anything. I quickly reassured myself. In desperation, I called a few friends. Ring, ring. I could hear my heavy, shallow breathing echoing back to me with a haunting tone of hollowness through the earpiece of my cell phone. No one picked up their phones. I was left without an answer. I continued to shuffle through Facebook, frantically scanning for monotonous black squiggles for his name. Nick Martin, refresh. More and more statuses and posts flooded in. Each time his name was mentioned, I reminded myself that it only took one status to undermine the rest. 3 hours forced me to face the facts. Then I got mad. I blamed Nick. When he put that bullet through his head, he shot the hearts of many. What did he think suicide would gain him? Is he happy now? I then turned my wrath toward the Facebook users. all the RIP status from people who didn't even know him, who couldn't even fathom what and how much had been lost. It was like they were playing some game. Oh, look at me and how many likes my status has. I'm so caring and so kind-hearted. They didn't understand. You were always really smart, was the most that a majority of them could muster. Nick was brilliant, and he proudly flaunted his knowledge. He and I were eating at Steak and Shake with a bunch of friends when he told me, most people only remember 25% of what they hear, but I retained 70 or 80-something%. I cannot recall the perfect what he said for himself because I am one of those 25%ers. There was more to Nick than his intelligence. It was evident from our first encounter at mutual friend's birthday party. I was the outsider from a different school, but Nick, with his friendliness, immediately made me feel at home in their clique. He treated me the way he treated the rest of them, with a plentiful amount of overpowering hugs. But all these treasures had been lost. We were left to deal with the broken pieces.
Okay, drama. Third place winner in drama is Hannah Boyd from Marion. Second place, Luisa Arsenault, Carver. And first place in drama is Cheyenne Fulmer and Hallie Chmeski. Okay, well, since drama requires a multicast here, we'll have to forego reading that. And song lyrics. First judge's preference is Burn Sharp in Carbondale. Third place is Michael James Lynch from Marion. In second place is Logan Williams. First place, Stephen Taylor of Marion. Not here. Well, I would like to read the song lyrics to A Wonderful Thing. And I won't sing it. By the time I was your age, I'd give anything. Fall in love truly was all I could think. That's when I met your mother, the girl of my dreams, the most beautiful woman that I'd ever seen. She said, boy, can I tell you a terrible thing? Can't seem to find the one that's meant for me. I know I shouldn't say this, but I really believe I can tell by the past that love will never work for me. Now, son, I'm only telling you this because life can do wonderful things. Now, most of the time, we'd just go swimming. We'd wash both our cars and we'd share everything. Too young to notice and too dumb to care. Love was a story that couldn't compare. I said, girl, can I tell you a terrible thing? I like the way you do. I feel the way you do. Like I'll never buy a ring. Like I'll never hear, I love you, or say, will you marry me? Now, son, I'm only telling you this because life can do so wonderful things. You'll learn someday, I hope and I pray, that God shows you similarly. I said, girl, can I tell you a wonderful thing? I've realized that you are the one for me. Please don't be shocked now, I really believe. You are the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. So please fall in love. There's just nothing to lose. When I give you a choice, I beg you to choose. Don't walk away. Walk away. Just let me get you. Because I'd love to hear the same thing coming from you. Now, son, I'm only telling you this because life can do wonderful things. Whatever, then, better my son. Poetry. There was a large number of judges' preferences this year. Very, very good passion of work from all these genres this year. Yes. The first two judges' preferences in poetry. Nina Jackson of Carbondale. Next judge's preferences. Tabitha Fleegor of Carbondale. The next two judges' preferences. Ryan Bovell, Carbondale. And the next one. Eleanor Hughes of Carbondale. And the next judge's preference is Tabitha Fleegor. Joe Williams, Colorado. And third place in poetry. Tempest Kip Evans, Carbondale. In second place in poetry is Tempest Kip Evans and and in first place, Tempest Kip Evans of Carbondale with a poem, Prelude. I'm going to read the poem.
I want to remind everyone it was a blind judging.
Perhaps you could give me a kind of cold. It's called Prelude. Sunlight grows in yellows, warming the air left cold around the blankets in the morning. Like the smell of an old book, it instructs you silently to investigate. Less than a whisper, but a deeper pull. The dark undertones of a mourning dove's lament float from power lines. You rise slowly with a hush in your voice, a hush in the walls and the soft translucence of the misty windows. You take shape here in the strange prompted silence, not yet ready to speak, but eager to listen as a lone man listens for a faraway note in the street to lead him in the vague direction of a song.
our final category is fiction. The first judge's preference in fiction belongs to William Banks of Carlisle. The next judge's preference is Brooke Reeves of Murfreesboro. And the Wandering Girl. Congratulations. Third place in fiction, Brent Martin of Marion. Second place, Use Your Moon, Carbondale. And first place in fiction is Ryan Bobel. Will you come up and read an excerpt from your story?
Yes.
All right, I would like to excerpt it then. Is the nascent question of cleric's affiliation or just a clerical error? The father shifts under the low thread count bed rest. The sun is steadily rising higher and higher in the sky. Warm washes of light flood his room, causing him to cover his face with the pillow. Groaning, he gets up and kneels by the window, where sunlight comes streaming in. Squinting, the father says his morning prayers. Dear Lord, thank you for yet another day. Thank you for the sun and birds welcoming me outside my home. Please help me to think not of myself, but instead of the others through the day. Amen. Having jammed his feet in his warm woolen slippers, he trots across the room's cold floor and down the hallway to the kitchen. Opening the pantry door, he grabs a box of cereal and a loaf of bread. He pours the cereal and milk into a small blue and white bowl as the bread toasts. He whispers a quick blessing. Thank you, Lord, for this food I'm about to eat. I give thanks to your generous bounty. He devours the food and discards the dishes on the counter, not even bothering to place them in the sink, let alone the dishwasher. The father makes his way to the bathroom for a quick shower. Cold air creates discomfort, but he soon finds reassurance in the warm stream of water that rushes from the shower head down his body and spirals down the drain. The warmth is only momentary as he shuts off the water and opens the shower curtain. He dries off, wraps the towel about it, and hurries to his room for a fresh change of clothes. Putting his clerics on, he sighs. Contemplating the day's schedule, he pulls the BlackBerry off the charger and opens the calendar application. It's only a Thursday, but the father sees 4 different appointments. He knows that he will have to keep all of them. Okay. If the first place winners in the writing contest will come down here when we finish up here, we'll get some photographs. And if that goes as well for the art first place winners, and also for the scholarship winner as well. So if you all first place chance to migrate down here, thank you all for a wonderful writing contest. It was a great batch of work. Congratulations, everyone.